Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
I'm vengeance.
I have given a name to my pain.
The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham. I'm Batman.
Hello, Bat family, and welcome to this episode, number 191 of the Batman on Film podcast. BOF is the sponsor and a proud member of the Batman Podcast Network. Check out all the shows over at batmanpodcastnetwork.com and follow us on Twitter at BatPodNetwork. I'm Garret Grev. You can follow me on Twitter at Garret Wado and email me topics, suggestions, feedback, more. I mean, whatever. You're lonely, you want to say hi, that's fine. I'll check the email box at garret.grev@batmanonfilm.com. Thank you for joining us and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We have been doing on the Batman on Film podcast. The last few episodes have been very much focused on the road to the Batman. And here we are, we're coming up on the end of 2021. In a different universe, we would have already had the Batman in theaters, but we're in this universe. There's no multiverse that we know of. I mean, I don't know about theory of relativity and things like that. I was an English major. But we haven't had it yet, but pretty soon we will. In fact, we are just over 2 months out from the debut of the Batman, but we've got a little bit of news on that movie tonight. We are really going to shift gears a little bit. I have a couple dear friends that have been watching a television program. They've been telling me about it. I haven't watched this program for a very long time. I've caught just an episode or two. And I don't even think the entirety of those episodes. But these guys assure me that it's good viewing, that the listeners would want to hear about, and that I need to educate myself on. So we are going to be talking about what else? CW's The Batwoman mid-season recap show. And after that, because as I said, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, we are recording this on the 21st of December. We are going to get in the Wayback Machine, take a trip to Christmases of years gone by with a commentary to the classic Batman, the animated series episode, Christmas with the Joker. So thank you for tuning in, and let's get into it. I'm not going to talk about these things. I told you these two guys that I'm going to introduce here have been telling me to watch Batwoman, and I'm not just going to sit here and, watch an old cartoon by myself, even if it's Christmas themed and I love Christmas. So I got to have my buddies on. I got to invite them on to help with this festivities. It's more the merrier, and this is the merriest season of all. First, I'm going to introduce one of my dearest, closest pals. He is a BOF senior contributor. He is the third Mario brother. He is a film historian. He is a video game designer, and he makes some of the, tastiest looking, like healthy ingredients swapped out dessert recipes I've ever seen in my life. He is the sheriff. Pew, pew, pew. Ryan Haas. Welcome to the show, bud.
Pew, pew, pew. What up, G? How's it going?
Doing very well. Thank you for joining. And Ryan isn't just going to talk about this just with the two of us. We want to bring in the big guns. And when I say the big guns, I mean the biggest Batwoman fan I know. He is, of course, as well a BOF senior contributor. He is a Danny DeVito Penguin enthusiast. He is the king of smoked meats, and he is the half of Straight Outta Gotham that does not have all the record-breaking accolades and Guinness World Records. And of course, that is Mr. Peter Verra. Peter, welcome to the podcast.
What's up, nerds? That's what I did. Took over the BOF podcast for some Batwoman talk. Everybody that did it, check it out. Batwoman, whole half a show right here. Everyone in the Facebook group said I couldn't do it. Boom, done.
Boom, yeah.
Mike, I would drop my mic, but I got a show to record.
And it's mounted.
And it is mounted. It is.
So what you're saying is like, if you blame Pete, you can also blame me because I was instrumental in this. Me and Pete, out of all the BOF boys, all our BOF brethren, me and Pete, I think, have been the ones that have championed Batwoman. And
Eric quit on us, refuses to watch.
He never started, bro.
Season 3. No, he did. He reviewed the first season, I think, he reviewed the first season of BOF for BOF.
The whole season? No, he said he watched
he
the first episode. Every time I listen to Straight Outta Gotham and you goad him about it, he's like, I watched one episode, I gave it a shot, and I didn't like it.
That's so. I watched the unaired pilot. I wasn't a fan.
I glanced at a comic book once.
He's probably watched more than I have, and you guys talked me into it. I said, you know what? We've been doing a lot of the Batman content, and we'll touch a little bit of the Batman in the news, as I mentioned. But I wanted an episode where it would be kind of like, what's going on currently, and then what's going on, something a little bit more evergreen, fit for the season. And that's where we'll go to the animated series. And of course, we are also going to do, because why wouldn't we, another thrilling edition of everyone's favorite Batman themed trivia game. What are you? And with that, let's get into the news.
3, 2, 1.
Cue music. Cue Becky.
Good evening.
All right, guys. I don't know. I've mentioned it about 18 times so far. There's this movie coming out next year called The Batman. You've heard of this. You're aware. Yeah. Don't let it catch you by surprise. Like some people, I remember hearing when Batman Begins came out, they were just like, what? There's a new Batman movie in theaters like right now? Don't get caught like that. It was crazy. But lately, fellas, the awareness level is probably at an all-time high. There's a new big spread in Empire magazine. There is, the team is talking about like what their goals were in making this movie, and thinking about the movies to follow even better than what we've gotten in the past with The Dark Knight. And speaking of The Dark Knight, there is a viral marketing campaign that is in full swing, very similar kind of to what we saw Nolan do with The Dark Knight. Ryan Haas, have you seen this viral marketing? That's the big thing. To me, that's the most exciting new thing that's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been following the viral marketing through you guys texting it to us and through Batman on Film and a little bit on Twitter. It's not something I've had a whole lot of time to dig into too much, but it's fun to watch other people piece it together, because I don't really have time to do that these days. But I would see things like, I saw somebody tweet like a whole standee of the film, and they were like, "Look," I think it was even Michael Uslin, or somebody that was that on Instagram.
Mike has done it.
On Instagram, I saw like these. Hopefully, I'm going to go see The Matrix Resurrections tomorrow. I'm hoping that my theater might have this set up. It is the giant like cardboard The Batman standee, and I love those things. But
get a photo and put it on the Facebook group.
You got to do it.
If I see it, I'll take a picture for sure. Yeah, but like I've been seeing people take pictures of this thing, and then at the bottom, you normally have like the website, thebatman.com, or the rating, or but on the left were these little glyphs or something. It's like, hey, let's look at that. What is that? And solving that and finding websites and
websites
updated with it's pretty cool stuff. And I didn't know, did one of the websites end up showing a like a motion poster that you've tweeted out? Is that how that got revealed?
Yeah, it was Ratal Tada, Winged Rat, which was sort of what was solved. Bill had talked about whether he knew this was coming or just had a hunch. Sometimes you never really know with Bill. He might have had a heads up and
he's like the Riddler himself.
Right. He might have gotten a heads up and said it was a hunch. I can't remember which way it went. But he said he thought there would be something in this vein for the Batman. And I actually didn't get the heads up from Bill. You guys might follow him at Brooklyn Bat. Anthony sent me a message and was like, hey, check this out. And that it was actually Blu-ray Angel or Blu-ray Angel was he was a guy that also tweeted about it and had started to solve one of the puzzles, or maybe one of his followers had solved one of the puzzles or something.
Dude, Reno just texts me and says, here it is. Like, I got direct. He's just as crazy as the Riddler. So, like,
geez, Reno's all up in it too.
Oh, dude,
So
when Reno gets focused, he gets like hyper focused. He's got like this crazy like French attention. It's insane. And he
French
just, like,
attention.
Yeah,
it's the French Connection.
That's what it is.
Called.
And,
okay.
Over there in Montreal, shout out to Reno. But so Reno signs all the stuff for me. He reports back to me.
Yeah, it was nice to kind of have some little birds out there, tweet back in about it. And I think it's rad. Peter, did you get the decoder ring out yourself, or you just watching along kind of like us?
I mean, I definitely like messed around with it. I was trying to figure out the answers and get the riddles, and it was kind of fun for a little bit until you got frustrated. Like, Jesus, am I really that dumb?
You just Google this. There's got a search bar on Twitter's got to be easier than this. So, I don't think there's bonus points.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. Definitely feels very Ridley. Definitely feels very Why So Serious. And we haven't seen anything like that since 2008. We haven't seen anything quite like that more viral marketing campaign. And it's ironic that the next time they do it again is with Batman, just a different villain. And I'm pumped that they're doing that kind of stuff because that's so fun. It
makes total sense with the villain. Like, it's just a really.
I can't always get the Empire magazine cover, to be brutally honest. Like, sometimes they're a little bit more elusive to find unless you buy it online, right? And like, finding it's half the fun.
I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see what they do with this. I'm excited for it. We've got about 9 weeks or so until we get to the debut here, and I'm guessing they're just going to keep ratcheting things up and ratcheting things up. So if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, or if you want to see more of the news that Peter mentioned, Empire Magazine, a couple other quotes, head over to the website, batmanonfilm.com. BOF's everything about the Batman, updated very regularly at this point. Earlier in the year and last year, you might have gone a couple months even before an update to that page. They're coming fast and furious. So bookmark it and come back frequently.
It's good time.
It is. All right. We've talked about it. We've hyped it up. Facebook group. You guys talking me into it. Eric bailing on the show, me bailing on the show, you guys being diehards. I can't wait for you to tell me about, and the listeners, of course, Batwoman season 3 mid-season recap. Peter, you seem the most passionate.
Okay, so basically, season 2 ends, and it's like all these quote trophies are scattered around Gotham now because of whatever the hell happened at the end of season 2. But you don't even need to pay attention. Don't even worry about season 2.
And when you say Batcave, it's season 2 was a whole new show from season 1.
Well, it's been rebooted 3 times.
Right. But all the Batcave trophies made their way out of the Batcave. And we're talking, what are we talking, Pete? We're talking things like Poison Ivy,
Mad Hatter's hat, Poison Ivy, basically a Killer Croc's tooth with like some DNA on it, which was pretty cool. That was a fun episode. We got Ivy. Who else do we get? Was it Mr. Freeze's freeze gun or we did get Mr. Freeze because we got what's her name, Nora. We actually got Nora for the first time. She had like a big spot, probably her biggest spot since Batman Beyond, right?
Yes. I'm super intrigued.
It's kind of been villain of the week, actually, to be honest, and I think that's what's really worked out best for the show while juggling all the various personalities. It's because you've got these you've got Luke kind of growing into his own and trying to become his own hero, and you have
Luke
Ryan
Fox.
Luke Fox, and he's basically trying to be Batwing.
There you go.
Yeah, he became Batwing at the very end of season 2.
And you still have now you have Ryan kind of really got her her feet wet with Batwoman season 2, and she's kind of her own hero now. And I think the show is at its best when they're really doing the Bat stuff, to be honest with you. Like, I think that stuff is really respectful to just Batman in general, but it's actually some pretty good action for CW wise. I think a lot of the stunts and fight choreography is pretty good and entertaining for the most part.
Well, let's pause on Ryan. I want to get back to that. But before we go any further, just my head's swimming already. You guys talking about all this stuff for me, and maybe any listeners out there that aren't that are like me, not very familiar with this show, I am already shocked with how much Bat content you've mentioned. I did not realize this show was so. It sounds
There's
very
some deep
steep
cuts.
in the lore.
Yeah. So my draw into Batwoman, as because so for me and Pete, like, we're not the target audience for the show. It's a CW show. It's female Batwoman. We like Batman, of course, and Batman's world. So for me, my end to Batwoman, even from season 1, was oh, we're finally getting a show set in the CW, DC universe that's set in the Batman universe. Mm-hmm. And so that was always my end for it. And so that part of it has only improved over the seasons. And I've been very surprised and impressed with season 2, and especially now with season 3, the way that the showrunners have been able to introduce more and more elements from Batman's world without being a slave to the original canon, but also making it honor the original canon. And I think that's something that Gotham, the TV show Gotham, tried to do a lot and failed a lot at. And
Gotham was always jumping the shark.
It was jumping the shark. It would try to throw villain of the week stuff in or references just to have them, just to cling onto them as part of its show. But Batwoman, I feel like they do kind of focus on their core cast of characters, and when the Batman world stuff comes in, I don't want to say it's not a left field sometimes, but it's got more of a weight behind it. It's got more of a reason behind it. They've built it into like either that show's universe, or like it just feels like it's part of this CW like DC world. And the show was already, and the other thing too is that's apart from Gotham, is that Gotham was like this weird, Batman's not here yet, but let's kind of do everything possible except have Batman. And Batwoman takes place in a post-Batman world.
And that's okay. So that's what I wanted to get to next. So this is quote unquote post-Batman world, a bit of inside baseball reference for those of you that have been following along the site and Facebook group and other podcasts we pal around with. But being this is a post-Batman world. This is not the Batman that we saw in the Crisis on Infinite Earth from a couple years ago, right? Like that's not this world's Batman.
That's a different Batman.
Yeah. This is an entirely different Batman. It's not.
And in fact, we have
Batman.
seen Bruce Wayne in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Or was it supposed to be Bruce Wayne?
Yeah. Well, yeah. We had Bruce Wayne. We had Hush.
Yes, we did.
Who got adapted to look like Bruce Wayne, kind of like they took a page from the comics and got to.
Sure.
I think we got to see, and so they cast an actor as Bruce Wayne, who was then Hush, that got turned into somebody that looks like Bruce Wayne. So it wasn't Bruce Wayne, but then, not to give too much away, you do see what the real Bruce Wayne
would have looked like,
would have acted like.
And is he an old man, or is he just gone?
He's pretty young, actually.
Okay, so it's not that Batman's
old for CW.
So he's like 35, 40. Okay.
Oldest like 41.
Yeah, I guess that his superhero like timeline is around the same as like Tyler Hoechlin's Superman. Although which would be like 40-ish, like, and they made the weird stuff about like Tyler Hoechlin's, like, although he's younger, he's older, but he looks as young as he does in real life because he ages different.
Right, because he's Kryptonian. You haven't changed since high school, Smallville type thing.
Yeah, you look uncommonly like young. He's like, yeah.
His face cream, moisturized regularly.
Yeah. So I said have like teenagers, but yeah.
I said put a pin on the Ryan thing. Let's take that pin back out. So Ryan Wilder, right? This is second season with Ryan. Mm-hmm. Peter, you've been into this since Jump. How's the transition been? I mean, it must be working. She's on her second full season headlining the show.
She's really kind of grown into her own role. Like, she's kind of, you could just tell, like, it was just kind of like last minute, right? Like, it just everything. They were just like adapting Batwoman on the fly a lot season 2. And you could just tell she's more comfortable in it as a lot of the other actors are too. Like, I feel like the acting in general has gotten a lot better on the show. And she's definitely improved and honed her craft. And, there's a couple episodes where she kind of like takes an emotional lead, and I think Miss Leslie does a great job. I think she plays the role pretty great, and she looks good in the suit, and she really, you know, I don't know if it's her or stunt person, but like they're always kicking ass. So like she just looks really comfortable under the cowl, and you know, even like I'm trying to think, like, if there's anything. No, I got nothing. It's just the only thing about her and her character I don't like is the whole thing about her extended family. Like that's just when they're focusing on the Jets, it's like the season. It's so bad in my opinion. Like I think the guy who plays Marcus is just a horrible actor. Like I'm sorry, it's just really bad for me.
So
like,
is Ryan? She's moved up. She's not living in her van down by the river anymore.
She's the CEO of Wayne Enterprises.
She's the new Bruce Wayne.
Or she was until you know.
Until, she's her and Luke basically
shenanigans have happened.
Yeah, basically when before season 2, it was like I don't know. Kate did something where she left it all to Ryan legally, and
sure,
yeah,
that seems like a very very grounded, very realistic approach to this. But that's fine. And then it's superheroes. There's Poison Ivy in this show, right? It can't be too realistic.
It's not even that, but I mean, like it's just the whole like. Just the reason why season 2 was the way it was, with the way that you know, the previous actress quit. What's it, Ruby Rose? You know,
Ruby
it's just
Rose.
like
season 2 was like a real world, like what the hell happened? Well, let's just see what happens on screen, and we'll figure it out as we go.
But it was still because it's funny because you take away Ruby Rose and it's already a better show. Like
Leslie, they did everything. She's
just a much better actress. You can't like it's not even a question. Like that's why
they introduced the new Batwoman in season 2, and they also went through painstaking lengths to reintroduce Kate Kane with a new actress and explain instead of recasting and just saying this is Kate Kane now. They went through painstaking lengths to have her face cut off and replaced, and this is why she lives a different actress and will never be Ruby Rose again. and basically,
in real life issues between Ruby Rose and the producers and the whole team and everything else kind of made sure that there was never going to be a return. From the last time I'm not obviously current on the TV show, but I am current on the drama, and I know there's a whole bunch of
lot of drama.
Bad feelings and contractual arguments and allegations and fraudulent activity and all sorts of things. Just like the show, very dramatic. And I know from season 1, it felt like everybody was sort of like a Kane or a relative or something, somebody's sister. Really tough. But Peter, you were just telling me that, you know, that now it's all like the Jets, right? So Ryan Wilder's related to the Jets, and it's another big family drama
Ryan
thing
found out
again.
who her birth mother was, and she turns out to essentially be like this other CEO of this other multi-million-dollar company
down the street
in Gotham City.
You know how that goes, yeah.
Well, you know, every DC comic city has to have at least a couple of billionaires, you know, so they can, you know, facilitate what's going on. But yeah, so she runs basically her own company, and you know, basically her and Ryan are kind of going at it, and Ryan confronts her and whatnot, and it's to be honest, it kind of is like the drag on the show. Like the show's at its best when it's kind of this 66 Batwoman show, you know, like it's just, that's kind of how it feels. Sometimes it feels very Batman 66 when she's out there, you know, fighting, you know, the evil of Gotham. But when they get like the personal stuff, it doesn't work for me. And I don't know really what it is, but I'm not looking forward to this kid being the Joker or a Joker.
The CW, you know, it's their thing. That's
watch
what they
out,
fall
Jerome.
in. Yeah, oh my gosh, don't even Jerome.
I'm telling you, if you thought Jerome was bad, I got bad feelings about this.
Really?
I think this is going to make the Gotham Joker look like it's better than,
but not how it ended up, where he was.
I don't think that.
I think it's going to.
I have more faith in.
I have no faith in this.
I have more faith in people, but I will say, like, as much as I like the new Batman villain, reinterpreted Batman villain of the week thing, I feel like it does have a expiration date. Like they've kind of done the same trick quite a few times already. It's like, oh, some guy puts on Mad Hatter's hat. He's Mad Hatter now. Some guy got scratched by Killer Croc's tooth.
To be
He's
honest,
Killer Croc now.
I feel like you got to.
And then what they've done with Poison,
that's what's worked.
Well, that's been good, but they've done it. But now that they're deeper,
I
into
mean,
the
you could
season,
probably do a season of it.
Now
I mean,
that
the
they're
Professor Pig stuff was bad.
that's a little different. Now that they're deeper into the season, we've got the two major things that are emerging from the season that it seems will be the major through lines is that like, oh, Joker joy buzzed, Marcus Jet's head when he was a kid, and now he's crazy and will be like the Joker. And what they were doing with Poison Ivy, basically transforming, Mary Hamilton into Poison Ivy,
which I think is so interesting because
Poison
I think
Ivy too.
Mary has become such a, I think, like strong part of the show. Like she used to kind of be just kind of like this throwaway character, like just whiny little Mary.
Well, right? She wasn't throwaway. Like in season 1, she wasn't necessarily throwaway. She was like one of those characters that could feel like that, but they did enough. For example, I feel like they did more interesting things with her in season 1 than they even did with Sophie's character, because like halfway through season 1, you had Alice kill her mother, and you had to, which is her like half sister, her stepsister. That is, it's kind of a weird relationship, and so they kept her around, and now she's like part of the person in the room, person behind the computer, like in the Batcave. But she's also she also ran like she's kind of like a Leslie Tompkins kind of character where she's running like a
well, she really grew into that last year.
She grew into that season 2
when she got the whole after her mother died and she took over the clinic.
But she's always been this kind of third wheel character, and they in season 2 and in season 3 they actually exploit that. They use that to their advantage because she'll say that kind of stuff in the show, and that leads some credence to her transforming into Poison Ivy in terms of like, oh, I have power now, I'm going to use it this way or whatever. But so it is actually makes sense. It makes sense. It makes sense. It makes more sense than you would think, and I'm up and down with it. Sometimes I'm like, actually, this is kind of cool. This makes sense, or this.
I think this is the best. This has been ever in the series.
It's a logical character progression, but on the other hand, sometimes I see the execution like that Poison Ivy outfit, and I'm just like,
and well, the outfit
leather.
Was bad,
I saw pictures. Why is Poison Ivy wearing leather? Very weird.
I thought the outfit was bad. The boots are the worst part. The boots are really bad because I was like, oh, they're just yellow.
And then they have her say, some really goofy like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. Freeze type lines, where like it's like she makes the outfit. She's like, it takes work to make bad look this good, or something like that. And I'm like, oh no, guys.
But here's the thing. I think Mary's been. I think she's kind of taken this season by storm. I think last year she was great. Last season when she grew. When she took over the clinic, and this year she just kind of like has morphed into like, I don't know, one of the more interesting characters, except for when they try to do her and Luke. I thought that was a little funky for me.
I like that.
It didn't work for me. But who I do love is what's her name who plays Alice? Like
Rachel Starson. She's been the most the best,
and
most consistent thing.
So
good. She's like the best, most consistent thing in the show. That is like a fully formed performance, like from episode 1 of season 1, and she has not let up. It's one of those things that could easily be like bad if it's not done well or whatever. She could phone it in, but like she like 110% effort like all the time, and the show's utilized her very well. That's one of those characters where it's like, oh, in season 2 it's like without a Kate Kane, like how effective can this character be, and how much sense does it make for this character to be around? But they've come up with reasons.
Second main character, in my opinion.
Exactly. Like in season 3, the overarching thing is that they are, they've actually gone the multiverse route and reintroduced the actress that played Montoya on the Gotham show is playing Montoya again in this universe in a weird.
Oh no way! Really?
Oh, she's kicking ass.
It's really
I did not realize that.
It's kind of it's from season 1 only of Gotham, by the way. It's really a really interesting like thing that they've had her do that, and so like the overarching thing is that Montoya and the GCPD know who Batwoman is, and so they're exploiting that, and they're forcing Batwoman to work with Alice to retrieve these missing Batcave relics and stuff. So they're doing a ton of stuff in the show.
So it sounds to me
Alice is essentially the CW version of Harley Quinn. They just and she's
Okay.
really brilliant.
They've kind of lucked into that because Rachel Skarsten is so good, which also again has pedigree in the DC world because she was, Black Canary too.
Yeah,
in the Birds
right?
of Prey show.
Birds of Prey, yeah, Dinah. Interesting. So it actually sounds to me, I didn't realize this. It really sounds like the show has a lot of you guys like Batman mythos, whether that is, the original characters or not, or next gen, which I guess would make sense with Batwoman sort of being the next gen Batman in this, but has gone through, quite the progression since season one. One, it feels like I've got a lot to catch up on, but two,
no, you don't. Just go straight to season 3.
Really, just skip to 3? Should I?
Honestly, just
Is this?
You could do 2 and 3. I Pete keeps saying, "Oh, do 2." I think 2 and 3.
Well, I popped in and out of season 1 a little bit. It was only like one episode, but I watched quite a few partials.
20 episodes.
Yeah, it's
CW seasons are long.
Basic cable TV, right? Right. CW is not basic cable, right? That's on air someplace. But anyway, it feels like this has started to evolve almost. You mentioned it's at its best when it's kind of like a Batman 66, but Batwoman. It feels like there's a lot of Batman Beyond DNA to it with like all the next.
I've said that in a few reviews
of this season, especially
because it takes the mythology and it kind of makes it its own. It's similar in that aspect. Like here's an episode about Mr. Freeze, but we're going to do it through Nora, right? Which is great. And this would be about Killer Croc, but it's basically just about how his DNA can take over your body and change you essentially. It's about this is about the Mad Hatter, but it's somebody else wearing the Jervis Texas hat. Is this? It feels almost like you're describing a backdoor way to get to Batman, but it's the front door. Like you're going forward into the timeline. You're moving on to Batman, but you're using all these little character aspects to backdoor into the source material.
It's kind of like
a reference, and then you springboard forward.
Yeah, it's kind of like when the comics are like, "Hey, Batman's missing. Let's have a whole new continuity that does stuff while he's missing for some reason." And that's what this show is kind of like. And they're doing they do it again, but what?
Has there been any reference to a Robin in this Batman's? I don't
Alfred
think so.
Was Alfred mentioned?
I think Alfred might have been. I don't think I've heard any. So this.
I can't think of it
because it's an interesting continuity because like Bruce Wayne's gone. No one knows where Bruce really is. Like that's the interesting part. But that's not what the show's not about trying to find Bruce Wayne. It's about basically trying to survive without Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
So you think like, well, where's Grayson? Where's Drake? Like, why is no one looking?
Yeah, any other Bat fan like your
there's
Batgirl.
Alfred.
This is pretty much like she's the only other Bat person ever in Gotham, as far as I'm in the CW. Like, there's no other reference to anybody else, really. There's not, even in that Batcave, right? Like, I know there's
no other suit standing in display or anything.
It's not
like that.
the Batcave because it's out of Wayne Enterprises. It's not like it's.
It seems like Robin was mentioned or name dropped. Like
was he? I don't remember.
Yeah, and it was a Vesper Fairchild line that did it.
Interesting.
Batman wasn't there. Was there a Cal convention we didn't know about? Was it Robin's high school graduation? So,
okay,
yeah, it happened, but.
It's interesting, but like
a throwaway line. It's not a big part of the story.
Yeah.
Unless they were together, it's just interesting that I always found it interesting. There's no like, whereas there's
like episode 2.
Like everybody just got whisked away to a different multiverse or something.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think if I don't know if the mission was, I assume, to discuss the show and create some intrigue and maybe pull in some people to be a bit more interested. There are worse things to do
on a weekday than spend an hour watching Bat-related stuff. All I'm saying, it's like it's.
No, you got me.
I totally agree.
You got me. I'm gonna catch up. Season 3, I might skip to season 3. We'll see. The winter gets long in Minnesota, fellas. Sometimes you just run out of shows. I've been watching The Witcher and I've been watching. What's the Hawkeye? Yeah. And Hawkeye's almost over. And after that, I'm going to be hungry for new shows. So maybe it's time for me to get back on board with the Batwoman. Bat listeners, maybe you'll join me in the Bat Cave. We can talk about this. Yeah. Who knows? I am intrigued. There seems like enough good here that it's worth my time. I've suffered through some bad seasons of CW TV. This sounds like it's better than the worst of those, and that's worth my 42 minutes or whatever it is.
So the listeners can piggyback off of what Pete's old hashtag. You can resurrect it. What is it? PV Batwoman binge or something?
No, I don't think I did one for Batwoman. I did one for Gotham.
Okay.
But yeah,
you make one. BOF Batwoman binge.
Well, if you see me starting to tweet about 7-month-old Batwoman episodes, you'll know what's up, and you can join me in the conversation.
I would love it if we could get Powers to watch the show.
Oh, Powers! Ryan Powers is a college kid. He's got nothing but time on his hands. He's in North Dakota. You can't go outside right now. It's insane. You'll die. And with that, guys, thanks for the Batwoman conversation. I can't wait anymore. I get hyped for it. This is, of course, the #1 Bat Trivia game, sweeping the nation, nay, I say the world. Gentlemen, I present to you, what are you?
I'd like you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
Yes, of course. This is the game where I give our contestants, Peter and Ryan, 3 standard issue difficulty clues. If they can't get it within those first 3, I give them a giveaway clue. It's an easy one. The Riddler will respect you if you can answer this with clues 1 through 3. He might, it might be curtains for you if you have to wait to 4. But if you get it on 4, you live to riddle another day. So we're on the honor system down here in the Bat Cave. I can see Peter and Ryan through the magic of Zoom. You can just hear us, but rest assured, when one of these gentlemen thinks he knows the answer, and the goal is to get to the answer with as few clues as possible, they will raise their hand. We'll finish the remaining clues for you, the listener at home, and the other participant if they do not have the answer yet. And whoever gets the answer the soonest is Batman. Whoever needs more clues, well, you're still Robin, and that's pretty great too. Gentlemen, are you ready?
Yes. Question mark?
Yeah, question mark. All right. So tonight we are talking about a character, and there's a lot of these, so it's not making it too much easier. I'm going to let you know that this character is a villain. Clue number 1. This villain first appeared in 1958 and was created by Bill Finger and Sheldon Moldoff. He returned after a 20-year gap to plague Batman again in 1979. What are you? Nothing yet. This was a fairly common thing to happen during this time frame. If you listen to the last issue of the BOF podcast, you know that Ace the Bat Hound also took a even longer hiatus during this time period. So that's a toughie. All right. Clue number 2. In this character's debut, he was treated and presented as a joke villain, but years later, writers developed him as a dark and disturbed serial killer. What are you? No hands up. We'll go on to clue number 3. This character is a successful inventor, capable of designing machinery needed to deploy his various schemes, and is also experienced in hand-to-hand combat. Although he's mainly known for his intelligence. What are you? We're going all the way to the distance. Clue number 4. I think these guys.
I have a guess, but
you're not. Nothing. Is the hand going to go up? But the hand can go up. It's fine. We're on the honor system. All right, we're going to go to clue number 4. This is the last one for all the marbles, boys. This character has appeared in both live action and animated DC projects in 2021, clearly pleasing one Ryan Lauer. What are you? Guesses?
Why can't I get this?
Is it Calendar Man?
It is Calendar Man. Why? Why is it Calendar Man, boys?
Concept of Long Halloween.
Yeah, Long Halloween. It was TSS, and he likes to commit crimes on holidays.
Yeah.
Hold on. I hate this game.
It's rare that they both get stumped. As I was reading these, I was like, maybe Maybe a
I was-
couple of those could
I
have been
was
a
the-
little bit more.
I was
giveaway.
thinking-
I was
Could it
leaning
be-
too hard on like the professor doctor angle. I was like,
Yeah, like the inventor thing. I was like,
Yeah,
Clue
I was
Master?
like,
Is he a joke?
Hugo Langstrom.
It's
No.
tough when you're doing these because some of
I
these
don't
are
know the Calendarman's backstory either, to be honest. I never.
That's why I thought that was an interesting trivia bit, but
I
it's
had
probably
no
not a
idea.
great clue because when you really start reading about him, like this guy used to create all sorts of different traps and machinery and mechanisms. And now we know him largely as like Hannibal Lecter, right?
Mhm.
And then Snyder did something goofy with him where he was born every year and then died. He was like sort of like supernatural in the New 52, I think.
And then James Gunn did what James Gunn did. And so
Pete,
Right.
I should know this because, I own the first appearance of Calendarman courtesy of your comic book store, your local comic book
nice.
store.
Great.
Yeah,
Wow.
Detective 259. And if you look it up, it does not look like the Calendarman.
No.
Of.
He was most known. I was reading through this, and he was actually really well known for having a cape for a number of years, which I've never, I'm used to just, the thing around the head and the white and
That and
you know.
look up the original Deadshot. That's a trip.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen that before. That is wild. Well, listeners, they can't all be winners. These guys are still okay in my book. That has been What Are You?
Hello? Anybody home?
And from the calendar man to the holiday at hand, we are here to do a commentary episode. It's a favorite for me. Grab your bucket of popcorn. You can get Blu-ray, Peter. I think you're watching this on the DVD collection. Like
no, I'm
old
watching
school.
on Apple TV.
Oh, I thought you were watching the DVD, man.
No,
You're
I
watching
just
Apple
have them
TV.
within reach.
Okay. Haas, how are you watching this one?
I have both Vudu and HBO Max pulled up.
And I am on HBO Max, where you can find I believe every episode of Batman the Animated Series.
Yep.
Little known thing about Christmas with the Joker. I remember this, and then looking it up for information on the episode too. This was actually the second episode of Batman the Animated Series that aired. Although when you see it packaged or you see it in a streaming service, I think it's like episode 38.
Yeah, so on HBO Max, it's the air date order. And
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So if you go to HBO Max, you'll notice that like episode 1 is the first episode aired is the Cat and the Claw. That's air date order. Which means that Christmas with the Joker was the 38th episode that aired. It's the second and the on Vudu and on the Blu-ray sets and DVD sets, it's production order. So it was the second episode.
The second produced.
Yeah, and on Leather Wings with the Man Bat was the first episode produced. And I like to go in that order because that's the order they made them in. So.
Right. Yeah, the nostalgia fan in me kind of likes to think about like, ooh, yeah, I remember I saw this in the prime time, and this was the next one that aired.
Yeah.
But this originally aired on the Fox network November 13th, 1992. From a production standpoint, it was the first appearance of the Joker, voiced by Mark Hamill, but an air date, we would have had several episodes with the Joker before this. Pete, do you remember when you saw this for the first time?
I do. I don't remember it being during Christmas time. I just remember being in like awe of the Joker, as he's escaping on his Christmas tree,
flying through the air.
To be honest, it's like one of the most incredible things I've seen as a Batman fan ever.
Let's talk about it while we see it. I can't wait for that.
I love it. That's what I remember. I remember
thinking like, how the heck did he get that thing? Like, how did he sneak the rocket ship into the jail? Haas, do you remember this the first time you saw it?
Well, as a kid, I definitely recorded episodes of Batman the Animated Series on Fox as they aired. So I might even have like some of the episodes, like the action theater, like beginning and ending stuff. Like, so I probably watched it when it aired, but I also had those VHS tapes where they had like character centric. I think they had like a Joker and a Riddler and a Penguin VHS tape, and they had, and I believe the Joker VHS had Christmas with the Joker and the Laughing Fish on it, and so that's probably where I saw it the most, because even as a kid, I knew like, oh, the video quality on the the ones I buy in the store are better than
A lot
I recorded
different.
off a TV. Yeah, I can tell it was different.
I have a bunch of those tapes up at my mom's house still that would still have like, whatever that Fox Kids animation block, like all of those with, the commercials and everything, probably some like sweet pogo balls and super soakers
and the superimposed like, network station on the corner and stuff.
This has got, the heavy hitters that the series is known for. Of course, Kevin Conroy is Bruce Wayne and the Batman. Mark Hamill is the Joker. We've got Lauren Lester as Dick Grayson. Most of the beloved favorites that you're used to make appearances in this one. It's a quality episode, and it is a fine piece of Christmas entertainment. So listeners, if you don't have yours ready, feel free, hit pause on the podcast, go get your DVD, your Blu-ray, your Vudu copy, your HBO Max, whatever you want to watch this on. I've got the cartoon kind of loaded. It's ready to go. I'm sitting at zeros. It's a black screen. Easiest way I find to do this is even if you let it play for a second, then hit pause and then hit back, you're good to go. So you can hit pause with us. Gentlemen, are you ready? So I'll say 3, 2, 1, go, and then hit play. You ready?
All right.
Yep.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right.
There's the logo.
This intro never gets old with the police blimps and the voice overs and
the red sky.
It felt red.
It felt Matt Reeves red, man. It felt cinematic every single time. It felt like you were starting to watch a movie as a kid every time that you'd play an episode.
It always felt more serious than anything else like presented to me as a kid. And like they don't have to say anything. I heard somebody say on a podcast, I think Retronauts, like you could show this to anybody that doesn't know what Batman is or how he operates or what his moral code is or whatever, and you'll get it.
You get most of it. And you get the big, I love that shot. So much of what they do in the intro is focus on the sky and the skyline, whether it's the police blimps or the giant moon. Yeah, Frank Miller with the lightning blast.
That overlooks amazing.
So good.
Christmas with the Joker.
And these painted intro cards at the beginning of each episode, just gorgeous. Can you imagine what having one of those?
It's just the yellow of his eyes and teeth and the red of the coat.
Here we are. We're looking up at Arkham Asylum. It's Christmas. The inmates are getting to sing Christmas carols and decorate the tree. It seems pretty nice for Arkham Asylum, I would think.
Yeah. That's the first time I heard that, Batmobile lost a will thing, like
really
on a show. But I don't know. It was in The Simpsons, but I think it was even older than that. And that's why it
I know it was older than that.
He gets the tree to turn into a rocket.
So this is what I was saying. As a kid, I remember thinking about, Joker's blasting off. And as a kid, I was like, how did they sneak a rocketry into this jail? I mean, this seems very, very complex.
It's very Batman 66.
It is.
Like the baseball thing. Like he throws the baseball. And
we just got done saying.
Brings out of jail.
Then we just got done saying that everything on the show feels more serious than anything you were presented with in 1992 or whatever. And then the first thing we see is a rocket ship.
Well, then also like Batman 66, this episode has Batman and Robin in it. And a vast majority of these early BTS episodes do not have Robin. Yeah.
I think this show is better than 66. It's a relationship between Batman and Robin. I think this is a good episode for it. I don't know, man. I appreciate how just young Dick Grayson is in this show.
Well, he's like right before college.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, he's 16, 17, something in there. But the relationship,
but there's a history.
Dynamic, there's a history. They've been partners for a while. You can tell he's kind of growing up. But the relationship is there in a way that it's not the super in-depth complex thing, but it's certainly more developed than what there was in Batman 66.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you get to like Robin's Reckoning and stuff like that.
So here we go. We got
Old Wounds.
Yeah. Oh, those are some classics, man. We got people ice skating, Santa's ringing a bell. They're talking about the spirit of Christmas. Like, we're in it, man. This is December. It's snowing outside right now in Minnesota, and I'm watching Christmas with the Joker.
there's something about Christmas of the Joker and even Batman Returns, just having Batman in the snow.
It's so good.
You know, seeing it, it's a visual thing. Like I know, like in Noel, there's some snow stuff.
Well, it's like goth. It can be like gothic, gargoyles.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just works.
I love this Batman ready to crack a skull because he just knows this guy's a bad guy looking to rip off this old lady, and it's some dude doing the right thing. It's so good. Robin's rubbing it in his face, like, come on.
And I love how Batman actually throws a batarang there and not his classic
grapnel gun.
Grapnel gun, which is again that's
episode.
Yeah, well, that's one of those things. It's like you get that because it's like episode 2, so they haven't perfected that grapnel gun pose yet.
Ah, that's a good call. Look at you. That's why he gets paid the big bucks.
I love It's a Wonderful Life. I've seen
it's the big table. The big table.
Yeah.
From Batman.
He
Could you
passed
pass the salt?
Yeah.
Wow, that's an 89 reference in case you didn't know.
And I love how Bruce puts his arms together like this. Like, I don't want to watch.
I know Bruce is too cool for It's a Wonderful Life, but guess what? He doesn't even get to watch it. Because just like 89, guess what's on the TV?
Collectibles created an action figure.
Oh my gosh.
Joker.
It's so good with this outfit.
With this outfit, and he's got all the accessories on it. I believe I have it in the basement, but it's great.
Yeah.
I love this outfit personally. The green turtleneck.
I want to get this for
the fireplace with the red blazer or sweater, whatever it is. Garrett, you could totally wear this Christmas Eve.
You get that. It's a green turtleneck with a red sports coat, or maybe is it a sports coat or a cardigan? But either way,
it's a
I'm
cardigan
down.
Sweater. I mean, he's also wearing khakis, so I think
he's trying to be like Mr. Rogers.
I love this float he's got here. This Santa tank.
Santa tank.
One arm Santa.
It's got a real Burton.
Yeah.
That's got a real Burton design to it with the crazy eyes and the one small arm. This thing looks like it could be out of Nightmare
89.
Before Christmas or 89, sure.
And it's so good. Like, this is a hard thing for them to get across to kids too. Like how this is you're watching a show, but you're watching the Joker take over the airwaves and make it like an old timey
variety show kind of
show. And Joker taking over the airwaves or taking over media is like it has happened since his first appearance. You're right. This is definitely a cardigan. I don't see any lapels that would make it clearly. We got a double sweater combo going on here, boys. And he had time to make a rocket tree, but he also had time to make cardboard cutouts of Batman and Robin and everybody.
Adorable.
Commissioner Gordon.
Makes a hell of a zoom back now.
Oh, man, there's something about just seeing Batman and Robin together, just as a fan, just really awesome. I mean, you could attest to this. It's great. Like the dynamic duo is something that I don't think we really do get enough of, especially for my age group. The Grayson Wayne dynamic duo. Right.
I'm excited to see that develop more in the Batman 89 comic. To me, and hopefully we get to see it again. In the Reeves movies, maybe eventually, years and years from now. We still have, Joker playing Bing Crosby here a little bit, but just before this, we had Batman and Robin, talking about the way they work together, sitting at the Bat computer. I was thinking a little bit the other day, we really just don't get a lot of Bat computer anymore. I think
I agree.
The way technology has evolved, we all have what would have been, almost more advanced than the Bat computer, when the Bat computer was. They need to bring back the red phone. And make it like an iPhone.
Well, Titans did it. Remember that?
Yeah.
The Awfuls.
I
love that. Like that is such vintage Joker.
And I love the candy cane gags. And I was as a kid, I was always like, I would just eat the candy cane.
Just bite it.
That doesn't
chomp it.
I love Bullock.
I love that he went the extra mile. No one else gets dressed up in a goofy demeaning costume, but Bullock has to be dressed up with a baby bonnet.
There's this thing between Joker and Bullock, and you see
there
him
is.
Capture him later on in the Laughing Fish and stuff. It's really interesting.
Well, Bullock is just so abrasive. Even to Batman, he doesn't like any of these freaks, right?
He kind of this show does great stuff with Bullock. Bullock actually gets highlighted a lot in this.
He does. It's great.
Oh,
and you like to see him
a whole
put
damn
his
episode.
place.
Yeah.
This is another accessory that came with a toy from DC Collectibles, the hand puppet.
When I see this now, it just reminds me of South Park. Where
Yeah.
there's Ben Affleck reference.
Yeah.
Taco flavor kisses from my baby.
Oh, I'm not gonna do it. I'll get canceled.
Yeah, don't cancel. I can do it. You're not allowed.
I love
to.
how the eyes actually animate something.
They move, right? Yeah.
That train sequence that is Joker's in front of looks very Batman and Robin-y to me.
See, I like to think that TV, like this episode takes place out of order. It takes place after the Joker's Wild episode where he had a Joker themed casino and he just happened to have stolen or
Stuff
acquired one of the leftover Joker.
He had like a warehouse of stuff that was meant for the casino.
Yeah.
Boom.
Also,
big
now the
explosion,
Joker's
down
blowing
goes
up
the
the bridge. This feels very like, I want to say like 70s to me.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. It's
like Joker would do this.
He's doing something threatening again, actually, instead of just being a prankster.
Yeah.
And it's cold stuff in this episode. Like right here, where she's like, my mother's on that train, and he's just like, oh, well, whatever. I love blowing up bridges, and you just see these animated tears come out of her face.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be even more exciting when it crashes, and then you just have like the TV, and
he's really evil.
It's like
he's really truly evil. I just every time you see it, from the train to the Batmobile design, like this industrial,
art
goth, the tech is so great. To be high tech and like lost in time all at the same instance. It's just so much fun.
This Batman is very stoic in this episode, Not he doesn't really say much. He's just
he's kind of like your
more of a
stoic,
presence.
traditional. Yeah.
You see the colors on the Robin R got inverted for just a split second there in the animation. That's crazy.
I love little tidbits like that.
It's so great. I mean, that's hand-drawn animation, right? Like you don't get that anymore because it would just be corrected, or the program wouldn't allow it or something.
Right. We could just redo it easily. Yeah.
But when you literally have a team of people drawing these frame by frame, man, it's a yellow oval for a second instead of a black one.
Yeah. Well, so they would like do stuff like that on purpose later on, like in Brave and the Bold.
Right.
To harken back to those occurrences.
Boom, train goes down. Batman checks out the wreckage. I love he's got like these gadgets that just have one button on it. He pulls that. It's just the one thing he pushes.
It's like he's been planning for it.
Yeah, this thing has one use. I had to have all these things happen so that this tool I created would actually have a purpose.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned buttons because I always liked how we just see the interior of the Batmobile, but all the buttons in the Batmobile are just various different forms of triangles.
Right.
They're all different colors. It's like how do you know what to push? He just looks like Picasso.
He knows.
He knows. Batman knows. That's another Batman 66 thing. I mean, the Batmobile was like that. If you go back to the Clock King episode, there was a whole gag about I need to push that button.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the computer.
Yeah.
And this was a really influential episode too. Like you in the this whole episode kind of gets adapted. Parts of this episode get adapted in the Super Nintendo game.
That's right.
Later on when he fights the Nutcrackers.
I was, when we were talking about doing this, I'm like, guys, is Christmas with the Joker played out to do for kind of a Christmas theme episode? And the answer kept being no, well, we haven't done it. And even though other people do it, this is an episode everybody loves. This is a iconic, classic, great sort of representation of the animated series that also happens to fit in with being, Christmas, and we're coming up to Christmas time. So heck yeah, let's watch it again.
And this, how they build in the commercial breaks, in a very meta way. I remember seeing the commercial breaks as a kid.
Me too.
You break out the production versus air date because the voices sound different.
Not just the voices, but the animation style. Look, they haven't really perfected. This is the first Joker episode, so the Joker looks a little off model here and there.
He really does. He's not.
The other thing to note is that like Tim Curry actually did the voice of the Joker in the first like 4 or 5 episodes. So this is, Mark Hamill coming back and redubbing what's already been animated. So he had to match the timing of what Tim Curry was doing, and then later on, he got to do like a more traditional thing.
Right.
He got to animate it to his voice
To
later on,
his
but
voice.
that's not what has happening here. It's more like an anime where you can have to come back later.
It was like the test audiences just said it was too scary, right? Like Curry was going too dark with it, from what I remember reading.
It's either too scary or just like not
lively enough.
Not lively and like
Too
there wasn't the
British?
right tone. Yeah, I don't know.
Sure.
Like it sounded maybe not Joker enough. I didn't. Yeah, who knows?
But you can see in Joker's movements, the scale of the model is different. Like he seems shorter. He seems a little bit fleshier. He doesn't quite have the taller, lean aesthetic, that we, I think, would typically think of Joker with. It might be because he's wearing sweater on top of sweater.
I think a lot of the character models in the early Batman animated series look pretty bulky.
They're just not
Wayne looks
consistent.
very bulky.
Definitely. They definitely kind of look very
Two-Face looks bulky.
square.
Yeah.
This whole canon thing that Joker's got going on is very like Max Fleischer's Superman.
It is
Like it feels like from ripped out.
Right
of
on.
era.
Yeah.
Right on, Peter.
That shot too.
That's a
of
great
the,
call.
Yeah.
Of Robin's, like what Robin just threw. There's a shot like that. It reminds me of like, there was a shot like that in Batman Forever where he throws the bola at the beginning.
Mhm.
It's like just a zoom in angle on the gadget. I thought that's kind of a cool thing.
To be quite honest, I don't know. Not something you often hear.
That car.
I love that Robin has a watch underneath
the glove,
like an
It's so
old watch.
adorable. I know, with not even digital. It's got
this is
2
great.
hands.
I love it when he hangs upside down. Joker. What a clown. But wait.
And it's a mask that looks like the bottom half of his.
I know, the chin
that,
isn't
that
even
is so weird.
like. Why does he take off
Hard
his
out Batman
teeth and
Returns.
chin? Oh, now he's worried. The Batmobile, trust me, there's enough buttons and screens inside that Batmobile. He should, maybe
What's Mommy
GPS
Lawful
wasn't
got
what they
here?
thought of, but he knows how to get there.
So Mommy Lawful is opening her gift.
And she's wrapped up
A
also
Betty
like a
Booper
gift.
doll.
Which, okay, so doesn't WB have rights? Wouldn't they have had rights to Betty Boop? They could have just
They
gone
could
straight
have, but
Betty
maybe
Boop.
it was just funnier to hear Joker say
Blooper.
Betty Blooper.
Sure.
It's probably too much paperwork.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
also true.
Like, yeah, we could get sign off from legal, but then Dave's got to run it up to Mark, and then Mark has to talk to Sally, and Sally's going to go over to,
Don't even.
But it
ask
is,
Donna,
speaking
she's on
of like
vacation.
public domain, like it is, I mean, It's a Wonderful Life gets mentioned in here. I don't think that's public domain, but like it's a Warner Brothers movie, right?
Yeah. Well,
And you get like, classic Christmas music, like it's incorporated into the score too. here and there.
well, so it's interesting because It's a Wonderful Life, had the rights had lapsed to it forever, and that's why it became the cult classic that it was, because it was a box office bomb when it first came out. It not a bomb. It wasn't a success, and the rights to it lapsed. And when that happened, it meant basically every TV station around the United States
because it was
play it because it was free, and they pumped it out like all Christmas season long every year, and it became this time-honored classic. So I love that. It's like, hey, it's not going to be shown this year because it's shown every stinking year again and again and again. And Joker is going to interrupt this thing that became a tradition when it's sort of just like this sort of quirky thing of history that it ever became that.
Wow.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Nutcracker. Did I tell you guys I went to the Nutcracker last weekend?
No.
Little ballet goes a long way, boys.
Yeah. See, that's what I was talking about.
March
Like
of the
this
Wooden
whole scene
Soldiers.
gets, you can play through this if you get the Super Nintendo.
Right. Yeah, this is SNES, right?
Yes.
Was the SNES essentially the same as the Sega game?
No, the game.
This
the
was where
games,
there's quite a bit different.
all the games are completely different for Batman. The Adventures of Batman and Robin. Yeah. The only one that's actually named Batman the
Toyman
Animated Series
Joker,
is for
really.
Game Boy.
Just like Robin catches those in a barrel, like the most basic way to ever, address this situation.
Mhm.
Look out behind you.
Snipers.
It is just crazy to go back and see, like, there's actual bullet cartridges getting ejected, the sound effects inside of a bullet. Like, it's not.
Did they have issues with guns, though? Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah,
Was
they're
there a
like
problem?
walking around with straight up guns. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but like, didn't Bruce Timm, was he not allowed to use guns at some point or something like that? Was not a.
No, like they do it. Like even in the pitch
Yeah.
reel, I think for BTAS, like they use guns. Like it only really comes into play. They maybe use them less and less.
Mhm.
And it was Beware the Batman. They actually had to change the guns to like energy looking weapons, like, at the end of the day. Like they'll still shoot guns, but they got to look like,
Yeah,
fake
it can't be
tracers.
very realistic.
Yeah.
Batman, he just doesn't have much to say in the episode. It's because their writing evolved. Like the way they wanted to write the character became much more Batman's point of view, and you're sharing Batman's headspace, and he's your narration character, and he is not that in this episode.
Yeah, and this is before they've got
This
established
feels very
like
Keaton Batman to me.
yeah,
Totally.
well they've got it's a reactive Batman, right? But this is early on, right? It's episode 2. They don't have their established stable of writers and directors yet. Like this isn't a Paul Dini episode. You know what I mean?
Sure, that's a
the
really
show has
good
not
point.
figured itself out yet.
It's a reactive Batman it's one of my favorite ways to phrase this sort of Batman, because it's so much different than Morrison Batman, where it's like or not even Morrison Batman where you're in his head and he's bringing you through the thought process the whole time. Like Batman in the moment, I think, has a really, like, we need to have it. It's important that there is that character there, because we should be surprised by Batman. We should want to know what's going to happen next and kind of be excited by, okay, he got the Joker and then the Joker twisted away and now he's running, because then we're running with Batman. Yeah. And we're not along for the ride in his head. We're experiencing it as an audience. It's a different feeling.
And I will like to point out that I love how Batman takes like 5 minutes of the episode to wipe the pie off of himself at the end. I love that every time. And this is not the first episode where like Batman catches the Joker by the Joker messing up himself at the end. That's very like 70s Joker to me.
It is a Wonderful Life. I've seen this episode a bunch of times, and here's the bell ringing, just like the end of the Jimmy Stewart classic. You can kind of forget how much of this is wrapped around It's a Wonderful Life, but that's a through line through the whole episode.
Oh, this episode's so great. It's
so good.
It's wonderful. I'm so happy we do. I watch this every year. I'm glad you guys invited me to do it.
It is. Yeah, I watched it at least.
I don't watch this episode except for around Christmas time. Like I save it for this time of year.
Interesting. Theme by Danny Elfman. When did that change? Because the production credit switches, right? They do, or is the theme
Shirley
still
Walker?
Shirley
At
Walker.
some point.
It's Danny Elfman's theme, but Shirley Walker orchestrated it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I love this one. It is it's a favorite. We watch it every year, one way or another. I last year didn't actually have this one. I, for some reason.
Oh yeah, you were talking to us about it.
Yeah,
you're like, what happened?
So DC wasn't DC Infinite at the time. It was whatever it is. DC Universe.
They had the animated series, and then they started rolling its things off, and
they started rolling things to HBO Max.
Yeah,
and there was a gap that happened like during like mid-December to mid-January. Where it wasn't on DC Universe and it wasn't on HBO Max, but HBO Max told you like coming January 15th or something, Batman the Animated Series. I'm like,
got my discs.
I'm like, God dang, why don't I have physical? I've got it physical sitting at the DVD, shelf back at my mom's house. And I won't go into it, but somebody helped me save the day. And I found a way to watch Christmas with the Joker with my boys, because they would not have been pleased either. I got to watch Christmas with the Joker with my Bat Boys tonight. I'm going to be watching it with my little boys. Actually, probably tomorrow. They're home from school now on Christmas break, and they're pretty jazzed. We haven't.
How long do they have off?
2 weeks, man. They've got 2 weeks. Yeah,
good for them.
It's a real deal. They go back. Let's see, the Tuesday after New Year's. So we're gonna have a good time. We got snow on the ground. We've got the house decorated. We're gonna play a little bit of NES. We're gonna watch some Batman, and I'm working from home. So if I'm not on a meeting, I get to chill with the dudes, and I appreciate you dudes chilling with me tonight. This was fun.
This is fun. What's our runtime here? What are we at?
We are sitting at about 1 hour and 5 minutes. So I'm going to edit, a couple things here and there, what I always do. That means editor in chief who likes a nice tight 60-minute episode. I'm only going to disappoint him by maybe 4 or 5 minutes when it's all said and done. But listeners, we appreciate you joining us for this. Hopefully this is a part of your holiday season celebration. If you want to continue the conversation, these guys I know would love to talk to you. Peter from his show, Ryan from this show, from other shows he'll tell you about, video game extravaganzas. Guys, don't let me do it. Peter, why don't you start? Let the listeners know where they can find more of your thoughts and listen to more of your voice, if you'd be so kind, please.
You can follow me on social media. That's Twitter, Instagram, and Zack Snyder's favorite, Vero at Pete Illustrated. You can follow podcast number 1. That's Straight Outta Gotham. It's a news-based podcast that I co-host with the champion of Long Island, Eric Holzman. That's straight_O_G on both Twitter and Instagram. We have a Facebook group and a Facebook fan page. Consider joining both. You can check out podcast number 2, the Italian Spider-Man Coalition podcast that I co-host with Nico and Nick Caruso. That is a Spider-Man themed podcast, obviously, so that's a fun thing to check out. At Italians for Spidey on Twitter. Check out at Team Yellow Oval as we champion the return of the Oval for the first time since 1995 to the silver screen. It's also back in comics now, thanks to Mr. Josh Williamson. Check out my reviews of Detective Comics on BatmanOnFilm.com. Check out my toy reviews and interviews on Batman on Film YouTube. And I think that's pretty much it.
Are you sure, Peter? Are you sure?
I do. I have my hands on a lot of things.
What don't you do, Peter?
He's got his fingers in all the pudding.
Did you talk about your recaps on the Batman Book Club?
I do that monthly. Yeah, every month I pop up on the Batman Book Club with Lauer Sounds Like Tower, and recap all the Bat books for every month. So check that out as well.
And every once in a while I get in front of the mic with you guys and do a podcast. And then, you put me to shame with your plugs. Ryan, what do you got for the listeners? Thanks, Pete.
Oh my goodness. Well, you just follow me on Twitter at SMB_Ryan, where I will talk about Batman stuff and video game stuff. And if you're lucky, I'll quote tweet you and tell you that, or give you a LOL or something like that.
Classic Haas Twitter shenanigans.
Yeah, you'll know something's up if you get an LOL from me. So
don't take it personal.
Don't take it personally, but also take it personally.
Also take it personally. It's done on purpose.
It's one of those things. But so you can follow me on Twitter to follow along with all that fun at SMB_Ryan. That SMB stands for the Super Mario Brothers movie. It this year had a new Blu-ray release courtesy of Umbrella Entertainment. It's actually Region B. It's sold for the Australian market, but surprise, don't tell anybody, but also tell everybody that it actually does work on United States region.
Wow.
And Blu-ray players.
Awesome.
So you can find out more information on how to get that if you go to my website, smbmovie.com. That's the Super Mario Brothers movie archive. Or just you can look at that Blu-ray copy up online and buy yourself a copy, because my goodness, it does work in a region, US region player. And I'm going to get a review up and hope maybe even a video review up on the website for it soon, maybe over the holidays, because it is great. And it also includes, for the very first time on that disc, the recovered work print cut of the film that our website found and restored, and we worked with Umbrella to add it to the Blu-ray as a special feature. So it is.
What was your hashtag?
We didn't need one, bro. We just made it happen.
Did you threaten anyone?
Nope. We made it happen.
Peter, you're gonna get me in trouble.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Sorry.
I need to write my own book about my movement here too.
Peter, I've gone like
I interviewed myself.
I've gone like 18 to 24 months of no one trying to get me fired from my real job or insulting my kids, and now you got to go and do this. Come on.
I thought that's how it worked.
Yeah. It worked well for those people, but you can do that, and also I guess follow the this fine podcast and all these other fine Batman related and adjacent podcasts are on the Batman Podcast Network. It's got its own Twitter at BatPod Network, so do that too.
Thank you, guys. I thank you for a great conversation. This has been part of my holiday experience, my Christmas spectacular, and I love talking to you. I love talking to all the listeners. So, listeners, if you'd like to keep the conversation going, please follow us, whether it's the Batman on Film main Twitter account or at the Batman on Film for all the latest news updates. When you get articles or updates to the Everything About the Batman page or anything else, you can find that there. And then follow me personally. I'm at Garret Wato. That is at GarretWato. If there's anything you'd like to hear about on future episodes, go ahead and email me. I mentioned it earlier. It's at garret.grev@batmanonfilm.com. It's GARRET.GREV at batman-on-film.com. And every once in a while, I like to go into the reviews for the podcast, read one of those. If you leave one, I'd love to read it on air. Maybe that's fun for you. It's kind of fun for me. So go ahead and leave a review. And of course, I always like to remind everyone every week, it's not who you are underneath. It's what you do that defines you. And because of the season, I'm also going to wish everyone peace on earth, goodwill towards men and women. Thank you for joining us. That's from Batman Returns, guys. Have a Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We probably won't get another episode out before 2022. And when it's 2022, it is the year of the what, boys?
The Batman. It's coming.
Year of the Batman. Yes, sir. The Batman is coming. Thank you for joining.
You have been listening to the official podcast of the one and only Batman on Film website. On Twitter, follow BOF at Batman on Film and the Batman Podcast Network at BatPod Network. For Jet and everyone at Batman on Film, I'm announcer Rachel. Thanks for listening to the authoritative, definitive, the original Batman on Film.